What is going on, my lovely people? What is up, Nathan Valley? How's everybody doing today? What's up, Nathan Valley? How you doing?
What is going on, my man? How you doing, brother?
I'm feeling good, man. And for everybody that's watching this, if you don't know who I am or Nathan Valley is, let me just give you a quick intro. My name is Nathan Payne. I've been in the game for 6 years now. My anniversary just came up on wholesaling. I've done several deals, hundreds of deals, millions of dollars in transactions. And my goal is to help you guys succeed. That's really why we do this. We do a lot of deals with people that watch this. We help people do deals that they probably didn't think were deals. We come on here, we help you guys not only use batch but other techniques in order to get deals done. So that's who I am, Nathan Payne. Nathan Valley, who are you, brother?
Yeah, man. Still got to work on my like 10-second intro on who I am, but yeah, done a bunch of deals. Done over 100 contracts in a single year. Sounds cool on paper. There's a lot of details people don't share. And the reason why we're doing this, guys, is there's a lot of struggling wholesalers out there, and I don't want you to be one of them. So, with that being said,
It's beautiful,
bro, let's jump into it.
Let's jump into it, guys. So look, when you hop on my calls, the way that I work is my last name's Payne, so Payneless Flipping. We like to make the process of doing deals painless, right? Because it can be very painful if you don't know what you're doing in the real estate game. You can waste your time, you can waste sellers' time, you can waste your marketing money, you can do a lot of things wrong. So what our goal is not only to help you work through the transaction like painlessly, but we also want you guys to stop wasting your time. And like Nate said, there's a lot of struggling wholesalers. That's why we do this. So our plan, what our goal is for today is we're going to be talking to you guys exactly about how to get started into wholesaling. What the heck would we do if we were getting started over brand new? And our promise to you on today's call is you're going to be able to walk away from this and know exactly what to do, or what's the most important thing to do when getting started. And not only that, but we always promise we're going to make some calls. And this topic might not even require a call, but I'm going to make a call because that's my promise. On everything that you can see me, I'm going to freaking make a call, whether that's to my mom, whether that's, it doesn't matter. We're making calls because that's honestly, Nate, isn't that one of the most important things you can do in this business? You have to get on the phone, right?
Yeah, guys, that's the one thing to where no matter how you look at it, you've got to get on the phone. It's whether you're cold calling or texting or direct mail or pay-per-click, or whether you're, acquisitions, dispositions, transaction court. At some point in time, if you are going to be in the industry of real estate investing, you're going to have to get on the phone with somebody. So let's make it painless.
That's right. So guys, that's kind of like what I want to talk about a little bit today. Me and you have been talking a lot today. We work together, everybody, but we've been talking about like when we first started, what helped us to get our first deal, even though there was a lot of pain because we didn't know what we were doing. What we focused on was getting on the phone, talking to people, making offers and, taking action. Right. And I think a lot of people, when they first get started, they're just like, well, let me study, let me like figure everything out. Right. But you can't figure it all out. Nate, you were kind of saying that there's a downside to this business. Most people get in and they feel like they have to learn everything. Right.
Yeah, guys,
like that?
It's really interesting. So for wholesaling, so many people get started and they have such a hard time taking action, right? And it's primarily because, and this has been in my personal experience also, there's just all this overwhelming stress, right? I've got to find leads, I got to talk to sellers, I got to talk to agents, I got to talk to wholesalers, I've got to find buyers and somehow talk to them, and title companies.
Softwares,
right? Then I got to, what's that?
Softwares, products.
And I got to figure out, how do I sell the deal? What's the paperwork? How do I do all that? Right. And we're trying to do a million different things. Right. And we're trying to wear 20 different hats. Right. But that's not necessarily the best way to approach it. Right. Guys, right. Think of anything. If you were to be a real estate investor and you want to flip a house, well, there's a lot of different jobs that go into that. And you probably wouldn't do all of them. Right. There's calling and negotiating, finding the deal. Right. Well, then there's, okay, well, who's going to make all the money that I can use to buy the deal? Right. And then, okay, well, who's going to be swinging the hammer to fix up the house? And who's going to, make all the materials? And then who's going to be the person to list and sell the house? And then who's going to be the person to represent the title, to be the title company and that in between party? And then, right. So we don't wear all those hats, right? No. Right. With real estate investing, we might only wear one or two of those hats. Most people don't. Now, they might have companies that fit every one of those roles. But with wholesaling, people take that same kind of flawed approach. Well, I need to be the lead generator, the prospector. I need to be the closer. I need to be the transaction coordinator. I need to be the dispositions manager and cultivating relationships and the follow-up specialist. Right, guys, there's like 20 hats you can wear in a wholesaling business. Right. And the reason why I feel overwhelmed is because we're trying to wear all 20 of those hats at the same time. Right. And it's like building a bridge. If I'm trying to learn how to find leads and have that conversation, and then I'm trying to learn how to close and have that conversation, and then I'm trying to learn what's the paperwork and the transaction coordination part of it, and then what about finding buyers, and what about having that conversation with buyers, right, and that negotiation process with buyers. Guys, that's what, how many was I listed? 6, 7, whatever.
You could go on forever, bro. You could go on forever. There's so many.
All of those bridges. What happens is the reason why when you chat with a lot of people, it might take them 6, 12 plus months to do it their first deal. A lot of times it's because they're trying to build 5, 6, 7 bridges at the same time, right? And you run into one bridge, putting down a brick. You run to the second bridge, put down a brick. The third bridge, put down a brick. And after 6, 7 bridges, you're like, oh, why is it taking me so long to get to the other side? Well, what if you could just be laser focused on just one thing, and you could master and just build that one bridge as fast as possible, right? So rather than running to 6 different bridges, you've just got that one bridge, and you're putting down brick, 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 brick.
What were you telling me about Bill Gates? And I think another guy said the number one thing that helped them succeed, and they wrote down. Tell it really quick.
Yeah, pretty popular example. So there was an interview with Bill Gates.
I've never heard about it, by the way. It's popular, but I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, and this is third party, right? I've heard a number of people talk about it. It's an interview with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and what they talked about was the interviewer, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. They're sitting next to each other, and they've got like a pad and a pen. And the interviewer asked them, I believe it was something along the lines of, "What do you believe is the number one key to success?" And they both write their answer down on the back of the pad. And then at the same time, they flip. They didn't know what the other person wrote down. They both had the same exact answer. And what they both wrote down, 2 completely separate people, 2 completely different businesses, right? Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, 2 totally different industries. They both wrote down focus. Focus. And guys, I don't care what industry you're in. If you look at the greats or the titans in that industry, you'll hear this recurring theme over and over and over again. Focus is everything. So same thing, whether you're a titan, whether you're Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, all the way down to, hey, I'm just looking to get started. Focus is everything. So how can we have laser focus so that we can go as fast as possible?
So that's exactly what we want to talk about. This goes in exactly in line with our topic today is how to get started in real estate, investing. Like, what's the first thing you do? Well, when we say get on the phone, you might be scared to get on that phone, right? Because you're like, well, Nate's saying to focus and just get on that phone. I don't know what the heck to say on that dang phone. I'm so scared. I don't know how to navigate that conversation, right? So I think we should just take that, since we're focusing and we're telling you guys that's what you need to do. Let's take that piece by piece and kind of give you guys a little bit of a roadmap on how to get on that phone. Because again, if you don't know what to say, you're a little nervous, right? I'm curious. Does anybody else like feel like that's watching this live or will watch this? Throw in the comments, like, do you want to avoid getting on that phone? Because you're like, let me do everything but that. I can poll lists, I can generate some leads, but everything but getting on that phone is like the hardest part. It's like a lead weight, right? You're like, that's really heavy to pick up that phone. Oh, I think we got our guy Angel saying I think that's what he means. Guys, I'm telling you, it can be difficult, especially if you don't know what to say. So okay, we got Angel saying, Angel or Angel, I'm kind of scared and I think I know what to say, just don't like it. Okay, well, you say you just don't like it. And I think that's an important thing too, guys, is knowing the right thing to say, right? The right conversation. Because a lot of people feel a little scummy about being like, yeah, I can buy your house, when they don't really know if they have a deal. They don't really know. So let's go into that, Nate. Let's dive into that conversation.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like, get on the phone. But before you can get on the phone, I guess you have to answer, who you getting on the phone with? you can't just call the phone book, right? So and when you're getting started in wholesaling, you need to know who you're trying to even call, because it's not like you can just call every MLS agent that has a listing. You might be calling every new build that's like there's no distract. Well, you never know, right? There's always a chance, but you have to call the right people. So let's kind of talk about the different people you can get on the phone with, and then it's the focus of who you talk to. You got to hone in, right? So Nate, you want to rattle some off? I got you can
Yeah,
work with
guys. So
agents.
there's a number of different ways we can get on the phone, right? Or we can get in contact with somebody, right? Some of the really popular ones in real estate is cold calling, right? Texting. There's direct mail. There's pay per click. There's ringless voicemail. I don't know if people still do that anymore. I think they got banned a little while ago. Excuse me. Right. So there's a number of different options, right? But we're all kind of leading to the same result of whatever I choose. My ultimate goal is I'm looking to have a conversation with the person about selling their property, right? Or ideally with a qualified, motivated seller.
And I think for me, it narrows down to there's three types of people you can do deals with, and you got to focus on which one you want to do work with, because they're different conversations. You have sellers, right? Direct to seller. You have agents, and you have wholesalers. Those are the three people at the top of my head. Am I missing anything, Nate? Are there?
No. I think that's perfect. Yep.
So you got your wholesalers that you can do deals with by networking, dispoing, doing deals. You got agents, and then you have direct to seller. A lot of people want to just go direct to seller because it just seems like the easiest thing to do. That's how I got gritted my teeth and learned, is I was like, oh, I got to go find sellers. But these are great ways to do deals too, is through wholesalers and agents, right? But they all have different conversations, in my opinion, right? Like you got to navigate them a little different. So when we talk about, the Warren Buffett thing on focus, you got to get focused on which one you want to attack. Because Nate, I don't, if you're getting started in wholesaling, brand new, I don't think you can master doing all three.
Absolutely not. Yeah, guys.
Very
So
difficult.
for me, after I did my first deal, there's a gentleman I worked with, and this is where when I get to focusing on kind of just building one bridge. Well, working with this person, I was able to build out the whole acquisition arm of the company, but that was able to be my primary focus. So I went from doing everything myself to where I was maybe only, talking to like one or two sellers a day, like actual kind of leads. I went from that to I had 25 to 30 plus qualified leads to chat with on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. So for over 2 years, right, of 80, 90-hour work weeks, and with the sole focus of acquisitions and being a closer, I was able to get really, really good, at least a lot better, that's for sure, at just that one thing. And then transferring over to working with agents, totally different conversation, right? So whether it's agents, whether it's direct to seller, or even with wholesalers, it's a different dynamic for each one, and that's why you want to pick on one and just focus on it.
Right. And there's principles that you've learned that you've carried over to all of them. And that's just through the sales skills that you've learned, right? So let's dive in to what's that conversation. We're saying, hey guys, focus, get on the freaking phone. I know it's scary, but then, okay, great, Nate, I'll get on that phone. I'm going to pick direct to seller because we're on the batch call. So I can pull lists. I can skip trace. What do I say? So I think it's important that we discuss right now, what is it that you try to discover or what you're trying to find when you get on the phone with a direct to seller? And we're doing a deal right now. And, the process that we do is different than the traditional wholesale that most people teach. Most people teach just to, make an offer, get it locked up, then try to sell it. We do the opposite. The painless flipping way is we don't even get it under contract until we have an offer from a buyer. And then we lock it up because we know how big the spread is from what the seller wants and what our buyer will pay. So we sometimes make whale deals, big deals out of deals that probably would have been tiny because of the process, and we navigate a little bit differently. But we're not going to dive too much into that. But let's talk about the direct to seller route. We're going to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and just one kind of specific detail I want to throw in there about that deal that you mentioned. that deal, well, we got that under contract for, I believe it was it 150 or $200,000 less from what she was originally asking.
Originally, she wanted 850, and we got it at 652. So what is that? $198,000 less, which
Yeah.
would not have happened if we did not apply what we're about to show you. Like, guys,
So
imagine just offering someone $198,000 less than what they want in the very beginning, and them saying yes. Good luck. Okay, there's a process to it.
So yeah, guys, this is gonna be good. Like if you don't have a pen or a pad of paper, grab it or come back to this video. You're gonna want to rewatch this. This is like my bread and butter. This is what I do.
Man, this
So
man
first and
is
foremost,
made to talk to sellers.
yeah, I was, man. So guys, pro tip number one: if I could reach through the screen, grab you and shake you, because so many people are taught to do this. Guys, do not make an offer on the first phone call. Oh my gosh, please, for the love of God, stop making offers to people on the very first phone call. Guys, we're not buying, like a broken bicycle off Craigslist. These are people's homes that are worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. These are items, right? This is property, the most expensive piece of property that most people that you're talking to that they own or have bought or will ever buy. So stop rushing it, right? And what that does is that also takes the pressure off you at the same time.
Especially if you're brand new. If you feel like you got to make an offer on that first call, you're going to feel a little nervous. Get that out of here. You don't need to.
So slow it down a little bit. That's kind of number one. Number two, all right, I'm going to give you guys some specific tactics, right? Here's exactly kind of what you can say here and there. But I want to give you a few principles, because when you really think about these, it'll change your whole mindset and how you approach the call and the conversation. And I promise you'll do 1,000 times better because of it. So one of my favorite principles, right? And I got this from Alex Hormozy, so give credit where credit's due. When it comes to sales, genuinely care more about the other person's outcome than they do. I'm going to say that again. Genuinely care more about the other person's outcome than they do. Especially when getting started. I know in my own experience, when I first got started, guys, I was dead broke when I first got started with wholesaling. Oh my gosh, I'd spend like $37 on skip tracing and just be like, oh man, I hope this comes back to a deal. I was broke. I was dead broke. And every time I'd get on the phone, all I could think of was like, oh, I need a deal. I need a deal. I need a deal. Right?
You had that commission breath, bro. That's what they say.
Got that commission breath, that sales breath. And so sellers pick up on that. They hate that. And also you can sense all of that scarcity and that nervousness and like, and trying to push a deal. Guys, just put yourself aside and just think about the other person on the phone. Because when you do, you're going to come off way more genuine. You're going to be significantly more confident because now you're just there to help the other person. And three, you're going to get so much further at the same time. Right? So care more about the other person's outcome than they do. And yes, that means if there is another option that is genuinely better for them in every way, I tell them that option. So care more about their outcome.
A lot of people are afraid to bring up listing. Like, have you thought about listing it? They don't even want to bring it up. I wasn't trying to bring any of that up when I first started. Now I'm like, hey, have you thought about listing this? Seems like a great house. You want to see what they're thinking.
100%. So guys, that's why number one, we don't make an offer on the first call. And guy, unless they are absolutely begging you, and even then, I'm like, I'd really rather not.
Easy come, easy go, right? Like if they're like, yeah, I'd take this. You're like, you sure? Just be in your back of your bed, be like, all right, hold on.
So don't make an offer on the first call, right? Genuinely care more about their outcome than they do. And then number three is going back to the offers. Guys, when making an offer, and again, this is also from Alex Hormozy. He's got a lot of great stuff. When making an offer, he said, he's like, offers should be like proposals. Making an offer should be like a proposal. Now, what does that mean? When proposing, now there's exceptions to every rule, right? But most of the time, when someone is proposing, they typically already know what the answer is going to be, right? So, guys, same thing. When we are making an offer, we should pretty much know what the answer is going to be when we're making that offer. And if you don't feel like you're pretty certain as to what the answer is going to be, then go back to the conversation and be like, okay, there's something you missed. All right, so you can put down offers equal proposals, right? Or offer slash proposal. So, guys, don't make an offer on the first call, right? Care more about the other person's outcome than they do. And when you do make an offer, it should be like a proposal. You should already pretty much know what the answer is going to be.
So Nate, on that one deal that we are doing right now, that's that big juicy one. Did we didn't make an offer? How many calls did we have with
I
the
did
seller?
not make so the price is $652. I did not make an offer until she already told me yes to $650 range.
There you go.
So,
There you go, people. So,
for example,
and I just got off the phone. I was talking to one of our students earlier, and he was saying that he's really good at follow up. He was really prided himself in follow up because what he was doing and what he does is he makes offers, and then they say no, right? There's no proposal part. He just makes offers that will work, and then he just follows up with them nonstop. And I'm like, bro, my follow up game is actually pretty weak because I don't really make that offer until well, I won't say it's weak in the sense like I make an offer and I follow up to find out if they say yes. I don't make an offer until I know. So I'm really there's really not too much follow up in the sense of like, hey, you accept my offer. It's more of like, I know where they're at. So I don't even really feel like I'm following up. Right? Like, it's just like, you're just, what's going on in the situation. So you're like having a discussion. There's no, hey, just checking in to see if you're still interested in, my offer, or selling. No, like,
yeah.
we're having deeper conversations than that. Like it doesn't. Yeah. If you're just calling to see if they'll accept your offer and that's your follow up, I think you're pretty close to losing the deal to someone like me.
So guys, those are some core principles that you always want to keep in mind. Right. So now let's move into, okay, Nate. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, I don't really care about principles. Come on, give me what are the one-liners?
Give me the juice, dude.
Yeah, give me the juice. So let's go into a couple things. What are some stuff that I can start saying and start doing tactically?
Yeah, and let's kind of keep it higher level for the people that are brand new, right? Like, what are they looking for when they're talking to? What are they looking for, right?
So,
That's the main thing.
Guys, at a higher level, right? When we're talking to a seller, an agent, whoever, right? So right now we're talking about direct to seller.
Direct to seller.
There are two things I'm looking for. Just two. To see if something is an opportunity for me as a wholesaler / investor. Number one, is this a house, right? Is the property something I can add value to in some way, shape, or form, right? Does it need to be updated? Does it, right? Is the condition bad? Is it like a vacant lot that's valuable and something could be built on? Is it right? Is there something here I can add value to? If this is a single family house and everything was renovated last year, right? And nothing like, you're going to have to sell me on why we should keep talking, because I'm probably going to really push to get off the phone because there's not much I can add there. Right. And guys, I'll throw in another principle real quick. Don't try to sell everybody. We are investors. We're wholesalers. There's a very specific offer, right? There's very specific value that we bring to the table. Not everybody needs what we bring to the table, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people, it makes more sense for them to list it with an agent or for them to do for sale by owner, whatever the case may be. Not everyone's meant for us. And when you keep that in mind, that'll help you to stop wasting time. And also, guys, when you're getting cursed out and hung up on that comes from us talking with the wrong people. Wrong conversation with the wrong person.
Right.
That equals getting cursed out, hung up on, and then really struggling to try to convince yourself to keep
Yeah,
making.
like when I first started and I was cold calling a lot, I was like, "Hey, have you thought about selling your property?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, why not?" And like stupid stuff like that. And they'd be like, "Dude, get freaking lost," And I'd be like, "Well, if you sure, so you're not convincing anyone to sell. First of all, they're chilling in their house. You can't convince them to sell.
Right.
Second of all, you can't convince them to take the offer that a cash offer would be necessary to like for it to the deal you would need, the price you'd need to get it for it to be a cash offer. So a cash deal. So real quick, I want to say this. So Nate, you said when you're calling guys, that everybody that's watching this, that's like, okay, we said to get on the phone. What do I do? You're looking to see if you can add value. Now, if you're new, you might be like, I don't really get what you mean by add value. So let me give
Well, can I
an
be?
example real quick. What's
Well,
up?
can I actually? Because that would go under number two. So number one is just physically for the property. Is this something that I can add value to?
Okay, just
That's
specific. Okay.
just talking about the property. Number two is everything that you're about to jump into. Number one, is this a property that I can add value to in some way, shape, or form? Right? Even if it's small, is there some value that can be added to this property? And then number two, right, is there motivation?
Timeline,
I'm sorry, not
motivation.
motivation. Number one, is there value that can be added to the property? Number two is there a problem here that I can solve? Right? And which also same
Motivation,
thing
yeah.
as motivation.
So let me say this really quick. So we have an academy, the Payneless Flipping Academy, and we have people submit deals to us to see if we can flip it with them. We can help them find a buyer. And I had a lady submit a deal, and she was like, wrote down why, and she said the seller wants to sell it. She's tired of renting it. So bam, there's some timeline motivation, but she just rehabbed it, and she just fixed it all up because the last tenants blew it up. And that kind of like the condition's really good, right? So she wants to sell it because she doesn't want a more rental, but it's really nice. So it's like that's like kind of like not that's something like if they're like really really motivated, right, in their timeline and they want to sell in a week and they're willing to take a discount because they need to sell, they can't afford it, like that's something that would cause this to be a deal. But if they're like, yeah, I'm kind of tired of renting, but I fixed it up because I want to get as much as I can from it, then like that's not an opportunity. So you really have to know again where you can add the value and if it's an opportunity or not, right? That's the most. If you guys can get one thing when you first get started is having like a radar or a sensor, like a spider sense, where it's like, bing, 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 bing. This is an opportunity. That's really the first and the most important thing you can do when you get started.
And guys, so right, we're trying to find out, is this a property that we can add value to? And number two, is there a problem here that we can solve? Now, how do we find out those two things? Here's the actual tactics, right? What is Nathan? What does it mean? Me, Nathan, right? Nate, what do I say? What do I do to check those two boxes? Right? Which is what we're looking for. Like those two things is what I consider a qualified lead. So how do I qualify a lead? I do it by disqualifying the lead. Let me explain. So when I'm talking to a seller, right? Hey, Mr. or Ms. So-and-so, it's calling, do you own the house on 123 Main Street? Or, yeah, you text me about your house that you own here, whatever, right? We get into the conversation. Yeah, love to chat with you a little bit about it. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the condition, right? So tell me a little bit about the property. Oh, well, it's got this, it's got that, blah, blah, blah. So first thing that I ask, right? They'll tell me a little bit about the house. And then I ask, right? I'm asking disqualifying questions. So I'll pause, right? He'll tell me, oh yeah, it's there's a door, just put on a roof, it's got that, and I'll pause and be like, oh wow, that's really nice. Hey, Mr. Seller, let me ask you, have you thought of maybe just listing it with an agent and sort of going that route? Question number one. Have you thought about listing it with an agent? Why do we do that, guys? And let me tell you, some of these questions might scare some people. They're like, oh, Nate, but won't they go and do that? Guys, I promise you, you're not introducing anything that they haven't already thought of. It's not like they'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize there were real estate agents, right? That's okay. And again, guys, we're looking for the people that we can serve. Again, we genuinely care more about their outcome than they do. So if for some reason, right, you find that unicorn seller that's like, oh my gosh, what is a real estate agent? And you explain it, and they're like, wow, that is 1000% the perfect fit for me. Then I'll show them how to find it. Like, okay, here, great, I'll connect you with somebody. Right? And then we get to move on to somebody we can help. So number one, have you thought about listing it with an agent? Because what actually happens, guys, right? I've talked to a lot of sellers. I've never had anybody say, oh, I've never thought about that. No, the answer is typically one or two things. They're either going to say, yeah, we're chatting with one on Wednesday and probably planning to list it the week after that. At which point, great, I can cut right to the chase and I don't need to have a 45-minute conversation because I already know, oh, okay, right? And I'll cut right to, hey, oh, got it. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm probably not the right buyer for you. Yeah, I'm able to pay cash, do this and that, but honestly, you're going to be able to make a lot more money listing it on the market.
Right.
And then exactly, they're going to do that and they're going to be like, yeah, right. And I'm going to say 100%, well, hey, if circumstances change, feel free to call me back. And then they happily say, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. We get off the phone and I can get on the call with the next person rather than trying to shove an offer down their throat that leaves them cursing me out and hanging up.
Yeah, there's no reason, right? And another thing that happens, which is really cool, is they tell you if that's not what they wanted, they tell you what they want. They say, no, I don't want to list it. I'm only looking for cash offers, right? So
exactly.
It gives you both things. So like if you're brand new to real estate investing or wholesaling and you get on that phone and that's the first question you ask to someone that says, yes, I want to sell, that's a good step. I think you're in a good spot.
Right. And guys, that's exactly it, because what we're doing is we're asking disqualifying questions, right? We're pretty much listing every single one of their other options. And what they're doing is they are telling you why every one of those options is not the fit for them. And they are telling you why they are the perfect fit for you, right? AKA they are selling themselves on working with you, right? So because when they're like, oh, when you say, oh, hey, have you thought about listing with an agent? A lot of the times they're going to, if the answer is no, it's going to be like, oh, no, we don't want to list it with an agent because of blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, okay, good to know. Right now. So that's question number one. Have you thought about listing with an agent? Right? I'm going to ask that question. They're going to tell me why. Great. Then I might ask a little bit more about, okay, got it. So now back to the house. So what about now the kitchen and the bathrooms? All right. They're going to tell me a little bit. Boom. Then I'm going to go into question number two. Hey, let me ask you, have you thought about maybe just doing, fixing the repairs yourself and then, maybe just listing it? Right? Have you thought about maybe just fixing it up yourself? Again, we're not introducing anything they haven't thought of. There's a reason why they haven't done it, right? And again, if they're dead set on doing this, typically they'll tell you in the first 20 seconds of the call, right? They don't want to waste their time talking to a salesperson, right? Or someone trying to talk to them about buying their house. So again, hey, have you thought about fixing it up yourself? And then we're like, no. We're like, oh, okay, interesting. Well, hey, let me ask, why is that? Well, I'm too old. I don't have the money for the repairs.
Don't have the time.
Blah. Right, exactly. Whatever the reason is, they just told you, okay, that's another box checked. Is why they're a good fit for me. Okay, got it. Back to the house. Then I'll ask, well, hey, let me ask you, have you thought about maybe just renting it out? Now, guys, this is a funny question. 9 times out of 10, right? And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I almost guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, when you ask this question, hey, have you thought about renting it out? Before you even finish the sentence, 9 out of 10 people, when you're like, hey, have you thought about renting it? They're like, oh my God, no, wait, no, we're not renting it. We don't want to deal with tenant. Right? It's one of the easiest questions you can ask, right? And you're like, oh, okay. Like, all right, yeah, no rents. I got it. Right? So we're going to ask that one. And
so
then
let me stop you right here. Do you think, Nathan, that if you're brand new, you're calling through a list of leads, you talk to people like, yes, I want to sell, and you take them through these 3 questions, would you say if the person at that point has said no to listing with an agent, no to flipping themselves, no to renting it, would you say they have a pretty decent opportunity so far?
Oh, 100%. And guys, One thing I forgot to mention in the beginning, if you notice, there was two things I look for in a qualified lead, right? It was, is this a property we can add value to? And is there a problem here that I can solve? Neither one of those talk about price. Price is the last thing that I care about.
And one thing we haven't said, but this is obvious. You're obviously talking to someone that's considering selling. Are you selling? Yeah, this is obvious. So this is awesome because this is the cool part, Nate. Like, if you get someone through this funnel, you call it, or these qualifying questions, I would be interested in talking to these people. Like, give me that lead.
There's one more. There's one more piece.
Oh, you got one more?
Question.
All right.
You guys want the fourth one? The last but not least to tie it all off, right? You're like, hey, have you thought about listing it with an agent? Have you thought about fixing it up yourself? Have you thought about renting it out? And then lastly, it may seem pretty simple. And this question, I will ask it depending on the conversation I've had with the seller. Because guys, the thing is these are like just a quick, simple questions, but a lot of times they will tell you so much more information and you'll learn so much more about the situation, their background, what's really going on, right? So usually, hey, have you thought about listing with an agent? They don't just say yes or no. They'll say yes, blah, 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 or no, blah, 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 right? And they'll tell you a whole lot. And guys, don't interrupt them. All the information is really, really good. Let them talk, right? Because number 4, the last question I'll ask is, well, hey, Mr. Seller, let me ask, have you guys thought about just staying? I know, seems kind of silly, but yes, we're going to ask, hey, because that's their last option, right? You can either list it with an agent, you can fix it up yourself and sell it, you can rent it out, last but not least, or you can stay there. Now, when asking this question, this one is like the optional question, right? Or more of, not optional, but more situational. Guys, you need to have emotional intelligence. What do I mean by that? When we're having these conversations, again, sellers will tell you typically a lot more information than just yes or no. So if I'm talking to the seller and they're telling me, oh, yeah, no, we don't want to list it with an agent because we already bought another house. We're already moving. We don't have the time to list it. We need this sold now, blah, 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 blah.
I can't stay. I can't afford it.
2 houses. If they tell me something like that, I'm not going to ask them, hey, have you thought about just staying? Right? Because they already answered that question through the conversation. And if I were to ask that question, it actually would be bad because, right, to them, that would translate as
Stu's not listening
to me.
Yeah. And Nate, let me say something really quick about this. So, like, the cool thing about this is when you ask these questions, sometimes you'll just cut through all the crap and they're like, look, I've already talked to 5 cash buyers. I've gotten 5 cash offers. I got them at 250, 230, 280, 260, and I'm just looking for some more offers. Sometimes they'll just, when you're asking these questions, because they've had this conversation multiple times. And I've actually gotten quite a lot of deals by just being like, all right, so let's just cut to the chase then. If I can beat that, are you ready to sign right now? Like, that's as fast as it can go sometimes. And then obviously you say not to make an offer on the first call, but if it happens like that, it's like, hey, I would just be like, let's lock it up.
More so don't make the offer on the first call. Again, it's more of a, you don't try, like, the only exceptions to that rule is when the seller is like more or less begging me to make them an offer. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of making an offer on that first call, right? And it's more of a mindset of stop trying to rush it, just like pump
especially
the
for
brakes,
the new person, right? The new person,
take a deep breath.
Yeah.
So,
great questions, by the way. I love this because I more see myself as a consultant than a buyer that's just going to try and take all these deals. I want to know if us working together is going to be beneficial, like you said, on this one. Is it, can I provide value? Is it going to be a win-win scenario? I think you actually had it right here. That's my goal every time I get on the phone is I care about the seller. I do not want to buy their house if it's not a good option. Is this going to be a win-win? So if you go in with that mentality and you have no like sales commission breath, then these questions just are the best way to do it because you're not trying to sell them. You're trying to consult them and figure out what's the best option for them. Do you agree?
100%, guys. And when having these conversations, right, so many people just spit out in the very beginning, in the first 10 seconds, oh, I'm a cash buyer, I can close in 30 days, pay all cash, no closing costs, blah blah blah. We don't even know what they want, right? Like, they might not, like, you might be saying all the things that's actually scaring them away. They might be the right person for you, but closing within 30 days, that might be their biggest fear of the whole scenario, right?
The deal we have right now is not, like, the timeline was not something that really was even brought up until later, right? So yeah.
So guys, when having these conversations with sellers, you're not trying to sell them. I'm going to say that again. We're not trying to sell them. I'm not trying to convince anybody to do anything. We're just trying to uncover all the information that we can. And then once we know all the information, well, then that's when your job's really easy. Because now it's like, oh, okay, well, now that I see everything, well, this would be the best solution that I can offer you for that. And then, guys, you know what my closing line is? What would you like to do? That's, like, honest to God, guys, that's the closing line. Here's what we can do. What would you like to do? Right. And so, and does that feel salesy? Does that feel like an uncomfortable conversation? Right. No, that's so much easier. Right.
So would you say that's why, Nathan, would you say that's why it's not nerve-wracking to make calls? Because you have no motive to convince or force anyone to do anything. You're really just looking for the right win-win opportunity, right?
100%. 100%. And guys, price, you notice not once have we talked about price yet. Not once. Because the price, whether the person's asking for $1 million or whatever, when you go through all of this, guys, let's think about it. Let's, like, your cash offer, would need to be around 200,000. And the person's like, I want 500,000 for my house. If you go through all those questions, let's just say you're like, okay, I'm not going to care about them wanting 500. I'm not going to talk price or anything. I'm just going to say, okay, and then ask them more about the property, ask them the disqualifying questions. And then from there, if they check all the boxes, even if you're like, okay, like, I know he says he wants 500,000, but I'm the only person he can work with. Like, for all the things that he told me, his whole situation, the things that he absolutely needs, the seller can't work with anybody else. Nobody else can solve all those problems.
So Nate, let me say,
even if it's not a yes today, sorry, I just want to finish this point. So even if the guy is, or gal is still stuck on the $500,000 number, again, that is still a massive win for you. And I'm not going to make the offer because I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I don't think I can get to that number right now, but let's stay in touch, because now I know without a doubt, I have all the information. I know, ooh, this is a hot lead. I don't know if it's going to be today, tomorrow, next week, or next month, but I know I am the only person that can solve this seller's problem. I'm going to follow up with them because at some point they're going to, in order for them to solve their problem, they're going to have to sell to me or somebody like me.
So exactly. So let's talk about the deal, the $35,000 deal we did. The agent, the seller, remember the one that we did in Layton? So the seller, the agent, they wanted like 250. No, they wanted, like, in the beginning, like 350. That's what she told us. And when I hear a price that's usually high, it's because they just looked at Zillow and they're like, oh, that's what I think my house is worth. I don't care. It's like in one ear, out the other. As soon as I hear them, like, okay, obviously they want as much as they can get. Then the questions come out to find out, is this an opportunity? And that was an opportunity. Guy needed to sell quickly. He had a problem. He wanted to stay in it after close. The house is distressed. A lot of issues. Same thing with the one we're working with right now. The condition is fine, but there's tons of motivation. There's tons of problems to be solved. Doesn't want a ton of people walking it. So we're letting you guys know and showing you guys that price on both of those we're referring to out of the hundreds that we've done, the price is usually always comes in way higher. You get lucky if someone just lowballs themselves. You really are just like, and by the way, when someone really lowballs himself, I don't even consider it lucky, because I say, hey, I still go through these things. I'm like, are you sure? Have you thought about listing it? Like, you don't want to just be like, oh, great, you want $100,000 less than Zillow says, let's lock it up right now. Because they're not going to be immediately signed. They're going to be like, well, there's going to be some apprehension even if they go low. So anyway,
guys, and one last thing I'll say about that deal specifically, right? Because we just touched on when you ask all those questions, right? I didn't say what our offer could be up front, because if I did, we would have lost the deal. I wanted to wait, right? We waited, we asked questions, we learned, we uncover all the information that we can, right? We learn what's going on with the entire situation. And then we put on a silver platter the perfect solution that solves all of that seller's problems.
right.
That is exactly what we did on this deal, because there was a lot of competition on this deal. There was a lot of other wholesalers.
Yeah, we
And
beat
the other
some
wholesalers,
gurus, baby. We beat some other
the other
gurus in my
wholesalers
market.
offers, the other wholesalers offers were like $20,000, $30,000 higher than our offer. You might say, well, Nate, how did you guys get that deal? Like 20, 30 grand, that's a big chunk of money. Well, the reason is because I knew what was important to the seller. Of course, everybody wants to get as much money as possible, but the seller, he was about to lose his home to foreclosure. Certainty was extremely important because he was at the end of his timeline. If somebody had an inspection period, which all the wholesalers did, right? If they had an inspection period on the offer, if they weren't able to sell that deal, he would have lost over $200,000 that he got for that. He would have lost everything. Now, aside from certainty was really important to him. Aside from that, another thing that was really important to him, well, even if he gets a perfect price and he gets certainty, well, if we close on a Wednesday, he's got to be out on Wednesday. But he's broke. He's losing the home to foreclosure. He doesn't have any money. And so he didn't have anywhere to go. And so he was nervous about, well, he knows it's going to take a little bit of time, maybe a few days from when closing happens to when he actually gets the money and then can go, find a place and whatnot. So we were able to solve that problem and say, well, hey, Mr. Seller, well, what if we were able to do an offer to where on closing, you would get half of your money and you can stay in the property for an additional 2 weeks and you can take your time, find a new place, no rush, and then you can move out. And then once you move out, you'll get the rest of the money sent to you. So what did we do? Our offer, yes, it was $20,000, $30,000 less, but certainty was extremely important. So what did our offer have? Our offer had 0 days due diligence. It had a $50,000 non-refundable earnest money deposit. And it had that additional clause to where he could stay in the house for an additional 14 days and get half the money, right? We solved all of his problems. That was it wasn't until we knew all the information that we made the perfect offer. And that's why our offer, $20,000, $30,000 less, was an absolutely no-brainer for him. Right. It was the easiest, obvious choice.
Do we have this under contract?
What's that?
We didn't have it under contract either.
Yeah, guys, we didn't have it under contract. But that's another story. But guys, I just want to say we were able to, it's not just about price. We were able to serve that seller at such a higher level, right? Again, because we genuinely cared about that person's outcome. So I wanted to understand everything going on. And so I could put together all the pieces that best serves him. Now, the real secret sauce, if you're wondering, well, Nate, that sounds cool for you, but I can't do 0 days due diligence period and a $50,000 non-refundable earnest money deposit. And my answer to that is, yes, you can, because we didn't use our money. Now that's another conversation for another day.
Never. I haven't used my own money to wholesale, EMD, anything for years. $0. Okay. But hey, look, this call's been going great and it's been going long. Now, the last thing I want to say to wrap it up, because we could go on for hours and we can teach you everything we know. But obviously we have limited time and we'd love to work with you guys. As someone that's brand new, that's getting started in real estate, we've told them what questions to ask, but everything you said for EMD and, structuring, that's a little probably high level. What can we do? What we were actually talking about, being able to help people in this situation. I would say we have an academy, and at the Payneless Flipping at paynelessflipping.com, if you guys find opportunities like this where you're like stuck and you're like, well, I think I have a deal, but I don't really know how to take it further. I'm a little nervous. We want to work with you. Obviously, we'd love to do deals with you. That's why we do calls like this on batch, so we guys can show you guys how to implement and use the lists and go get those deals. If you don't know what to do, we'd love to work with you. We'd love to do deals, because when I first started, guys, I needed help too. Like, even though I had a lot of sales experience, I partnered with a broker on a lot of deals. I partnered with a lot of other wholesalers that experience. So I think that's something that might be helpful to a lot of you. So if you want to look into that, definitely DM Nathan Valley. But I think there's a lot of deals that slip through people's fingers when they're new because they don't know how to do everything yet. But this is where it starts.
Yeah, guys, and just one quick thing, painlessflipping.com, when we talk about that and talk about working with us, it's not like a $20,000 mentorship. It's literally the cost of a cup of coffee. So check it out. We give you a ridiculous amount of free gifts just for checking it out. Oh my gosh, it literally has everything. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. Love to work with you guys. Love to help you out. That's something that we're really passionate about. We want to work with a lot more people. Working with you guys, and also on deals that we have, we want to work with you guys. We know there's going to be some buyers that you have relationships with, and some buyers that we have relationships with. Love to work together. Love to help you out where we can. And yeah, guys, stay tuned. We're going to be hopping on here a lot more with you guys. I hope this was valuable. I hope this was able to help you guys out in some way, shape, or form.
Do me a favor, everybody. If this was helpful, if you're watching this live or you watch this later, just give this a like. Give this a like or a comment, because that tells the algorithm that you like this stuff. If this has been helpful, please let us know, because we definitely want to bring you stuff that you're gonna be able to apply. We're trying to teach you guys like exactly what we would do. We're not trying to fluff you up. Like this is really what we do, and we're in the trenches. It's not like we did a deal a year ago or 5 years ago, and we're just teaching what worked then. This is working now. And I'll say the last thing, the deals we're doing, I don't think if people did them the traditional way, they would work, or they would get as big as spreads. If you approach it this way, you will make more money. Everyone will be happy. The seller and the buyer, everyone feels comfortable. And we've talked about this. It's doing deals the painless way. It's doing things ethically. It's not ethical to say to someone, hey, I can buy your house at this price, not know, lock it up, take 5 days, and waste their time, and then try to renegotiate. That's not what we do. We do it the painless way. We do it the right way. And we want to teach you guys all how to do it. So anyway,
guys, perfect example. And I'll end on this. That house that we made $35,000 on, all those other wholesalers said they're the cash buyer with an inspection period. If they couldn't fulfill on their promises, and that seller lost his home and lost over $200,000 that he could have gotten, does that feel like the business you want to be in? Right? Probably not. And my guess is, because this is what was true for me, and I'm just like being real with you guys. In the very beginning, I had a really hard, like same as probably a lot of you, right? I was like, I had a lot of resistance with talking with people, right? Whether it was cold calling, texting, whatever, right? Talking to sellers, agents, whoever. And it's because I was having this internal conflict to where I know this is what everyone's telling me to do, but I can't help but feel like I'm being a little bit dishonest. And that really bothered me for a long time, right? That's what we call traditional wholesaling. But guys, there's a new way to where you can be honest, you can be ethical. Guys, that wholesale deal that we did, everybody knew, the agent, the seller,
listed. It was listed.
Wholesaling it. They knew it wasn't our earnest money. They knew we weren't buying. And that's every single deal that we do. Every single deal that we do, everybody knows exactly what's going on. And now I don't necessarily word it, hi, can I wholesale this property? No, there's a proper way to go about it and framing it. But guys, there is a better way. And trust me, the business is so much better. And it's 1,000 times easier when everybody knows what's going on. So again, if that interests you at all, go to painlessflipping.com. Check it out. Love to see you guys there.
The house was listed, everybody. And she added in an addendum that and had the seller sign off their whole, they're signing it. Anyway, we could go on for hours and hours and hours. Guys, we love this. We love doing it this way. I don't lose sleep like I used to. I used to be like, oh, I hope he signs. I hope he doesn't see the wholesale fee. Guys, everybody knows. Who cares? Okay? So anyway, Nate, I know you got something to say to that.
Bro, I could go on for days. But again, guys, really hope you got some value out of this. It was great chatting with you. I hope I was able to help, make your wholesaling journey just a little bit easier. Yeah, let us know. And guys, try out those questions. Next time you see us live
Right here, guys.
or on the socials or whatever, guys, shoot us a comment or whatever and let us know, hey, this worked. Nate, oh my gosh, it didn't work. Let me know. And I've done it a million times, so I know it works. But let me know how it goes for you. Maybe there's just one or two little tweaks you need to make.
Yeah, there's absolutely no pressure or any anxiety you should feel from talking to someone that wants to sell and asking these questions. These are questions that they want to talk about. They want to answer these. That's what they're thinking about selling. So shout out to JTR Joey. Appreciate y'all. We appreciate you, man, for staying tuned. The CEO, always a great supporter of our show. Appreciate you, brother. And Angel and all the others. If we don't see your comments, we are on StreamYard. It's just sometimes they don't come through unless you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, give us a like where you're watching. Put this out there, and guys, we're gonna see you again. Don't you forget it. Check out painlessflipping.com. Peace out.
See you guys.
We're going live again tomorrow, bro. Peace.